Hello and welcome to the Legends of Tabletop podcast. We're getting ready to jump into our second session of our Magic playtest for the new Core Complete that's coming out soon-ish. We played last couple of weeks ago. It is the World of Wyrd. Wyrd. It's fine. I'm going to just kick it over to Todd. We'll let Todd give us a recap, and we'll see what happened last time.
Okay, I'm going to be disappearing from video a lot because my screen is way down here under camera view. And I need to consult the rules a lot. We are playtesting the Magic system for Core, and these guys have recently watched all this, what is it called? Norsemen?
Vikings.
Vikings, okay. So there's all this Viking stuff that worked into the mythology. Now, of course, we're not on Earth. You're free to make up your own, mythology and gods and powers and all that kind of thing. So it's really a narrativistic spell system that we're testing here, and I almost don't care what the setting is, right? So I let these guys come up with something. They came up with a bunch of characters. They've got this Viking spin because of the Vikings show they've been watching lately. Now, I'm not familiar with the show. So I'm spinning it in some weird directions and merging it with some D&D stuff. And what happened in the last adventure? There is a famous adventurer from the same clan as Kurt's character. Who's why did my lower thirds disappear? There. Drake Bloodrappen. Yeah. So there's this. Older adventurer, maybe 10, 15 years older than you, PQ Bloodrappen. She's well known throughout the region. There are tales of her killing the two-headed dragon of the icy north. There are many legends and songs about her, but she's disappeared. And you guys have decided that it might be your claim to fame to go find her, rescue her, perhaps, even attain a greater heroic status than the great PQ herself. And so off you go to there's sort of a outpost town, the last real civilized stop before you enter the northern wastes. There's a little town called, Jesse, you said the name a minute ago, Burblenook, was that it? My notes are wrong. Okay. So maybe I should explain to the audience that from time to time I'm going to need to lean on the players or just make something up, and it's going to look like a retcon from time to time because a lot of notes were lost in the recent hard disk crash. So there's sort of a gap in my notes between the original prep for the Magic system and the actual game itself. So off they go to the town of Burblenook, where weird stuff's happening. They meet an innkeeper and his wife, but they're behaving very strangely. They pop up and down almost like hand puppets, and they tell conflicting stories. But they say that PQ was here, came by, bought some magic items, some potions or something, and went off into the northern mountains to seek the Snargle, also known as the Snargle Snatch. You've never heard of any such thing. They then recommend that you stop by at the local inn, which is called Ruby's. So you go to Ruby's, and there's 4 people sitting in there staring at their drinks, not really moving. It's early morning, too early to be drinking. Just like the merchant and his wife at the alchemy shop, these people seem like they pop up and say what they're going to say. They deliver the line, give you your ale, and then pop back down again. Something really weird about it. Even the people at the tables, they like look up at you all at the same time. They regard you for a couple seconds, and they all look down again at the same time. There's something weird going on about this place. And you guys, I think it was Hallfrid who first noticed that
he found almost like a fleshy strand or string or something that came from one of the bar patrons and went like around the corner behind the bar.
Like an umbilical cord.
Like an umbilical cord. It's kind of pink and fleshy, and it may be like an inch in diameter, a little bigger than your thumb. Today, we would probably refer to it as a hose or a cable. That's the easiest metaphor to go to. But to you guys, I mean, it's clearly made of flesh, right? So it looks more like, maybe you'd call it a snake or something like that. But a pink tendril of some kind attached to the foot of every one of these people. And it goes back down behind the bar to a trapdoor in the floor. There's a little bit of combat. You guys sever some heads and call the bear goddess, and you get the feeling from both of your deities that you are on the right path. There's something that you need to do. Now, so far, you've gotten the feeling that it's about rescuing PQ, but I will put it to you that may or may not be what your gods are cheering you on about, because the thing that's controlling all the people in the town of Burblemoon is really huge. I mean, much larger than a human. And when you die behind the counter, Hallfrid gets grabbed by this tentacle, pulled into the icy water in the latrine at the far end of the cellar. Hothrafn jumps in and grabs his buddy's leg as they're pulled beneath the cold surface of the water. Drake likewise jumps in and grabs Hot by the leg. So where we left off, sorry to be so long-winded, where we left off, the three of you had just been pulled into icy water by this unknown pink tentacle of a gigantic beast that's got Hallfrid around the waist with one arm pinned to his side. You've all taken a deep breath. There you go.
Are we starting right in action frames?
I think we should, because you're underwater, bro.
Yeah. Okay. Does it have my left arm pinned?
It has your off arm.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So you're still holding. You had a torch, and the torch went out, but you're holding it.
I think I dropped it.
Okay.
I think I dropped it.
It's better to be holding your weapon if that's where you're going with this.
Well, so I think because I can't manage the big two-handed axe, declaration of intent, I want to grab my hand axe off my belt and try to hack at this tendril to let me go.
Very good idea. What are the other guys doing? Now, it's up to you which hand you're holding on to the ankle in front of you with, but you could use your other hand to try to do something.
Yeah, I mean, so Hothrafn has probably dominant hand to grab and hold on to Hallfrid. So but what I'll do is kind of try to grab and pull myself up more, closer to his waist or upper. Yeah. So I can get closer to whatever is holding on to him and hopefully try to either pry it free or,
Okay, so you're climbing up his body, and Drake.
Exactly.
You can do nothing. That's fine.
Well, I'm trying to think. Know if I. I think I'm just gonna take the ride down the water and just kind of see what's happening. I think I actually am gonna do nothing because I'm curious to see what happens.
Okay, so I'm going to need grace rolls from Hallfrid and Hot. Do you have any skills that you think might apply here?
I'm going to use my weapon axe, I guess, right? I mean...
Yeah, and okay, so it's kind of like two actions, but one of them is just grabbing the thing. So I'm going to call it challenging, beat at 3.
Okay.
And Hot, I think it's the same. Yeah, beat at 3.
That's good. Yeah, I don't have athletics or anything like that, so I'm just
6 on the die, so I got a 7 total.
Ditto. Well, just straight up 6 on the die.
All right. So, Hallfrid, this is a yes and. You're being pulled at what feels like incredible speed. In reality, it's probably just 15 or 20 miles an hour, but it's faster than you could swim. And the water is really fucking cold. Now, you guys are accustomed to cold, but there's a strange quality to this coldness. It's you guys are skilled in the arts of magic and mysticism. I'm not even going to make you roll it. As you get pulled deeper and further, you're being pulled sort of, so I'd say about a 30-degree angle, so a little bit down, but mostly laterally. The water is getting not only colder, but you're feeling you've pierced some sort of veil. You're not in, let me say, I don't want to say you're not in the natural world because that's giving you the wrong idea. Let me flip it the other way around. You feel like you have entered an enchanted place.
Okay.
The water is extremely cold. Hallfrid, you get a yes and. So you manage to pull the weapon up. You start hacking at the tendril. You do a point of damage, but it's not enough to slay the thing yet. The tendril still has you. You do succeed in pulling yourself up to Hallfrid's waist, and you can see this thing is wrapped tightly around him, and you can get a view of it as the water's rushing by. So both of you get an and. Jesse, you get a, what'd you roll? 5?
You got a 6, and you're muted.
Okay. Yeah, so you both have an and right now.
So, I mean, I would like the and to be that it lets me go. But if that's too much, then...
this is actually the second time you've hit it. Because you hit it before you even came down into the room. So it's taken 2 hits. I'll give you that. It lets you go.
Okay, so it kind of like flips and sort of like pulls away. And I guess we sort of float free. And then I next action, I would try to kick to the surface, I guess. But what do you got?
At the moment that the thing lets go of him, now it's wrapped around him once or twice. So it kind of has to unwrap itself. And you've made it up to his waist. So while that's happening, if you wanted to try grabbing it or hacking at it, you could do so.
Well, so I think Hothrafn was actually while Hallfrid was able to break free and
let me just clarify for you right here. You don't get another roll out of this, but this is your and.
Oh yeah, no. So while Hallfrid breaks free, Hothrafn actually wants to follow it. So if I can kind of keep it in sight and ride, are we in like a current or something, or is it just like if there's not like a current, you then use like the momentum that we were being pulled to try to like keep up with it a little bit.
There is a current, but it's not super strong.
Okay.
As it begins unraveling, you begin floating upwards fairly normally and not quite straight, but mostly straight up. So,
all right. At least can I with the and can I kind of get a general idea of like where, if the creature is close to us, if it's within kind of swimming distance?
Do you have a survival skill?
I have nature and religion. That's
nature.
Closest I got.
Give me a nature roll, please.
Nature?
And yeah, beautiful.
That's going to be 4 + 1 is 5.
Oh, perfect. Yes, you can see the direction that the thing is going off in, and what strikes you as strange is that the current is moving in the opposite direction from the way that this thing has been pulling you.
Mm-hmm.
But the direction that this tendril is going, the only reason you can see it actually is because there's an unnatural light source.
Mm-hmm.
Down near the bottom. It's too far to see what it is.
Okay.
But you know enough about light, refraction, nature, and the way things should appear that you would expect any light source to be coming from above, not from below.
Right.
There's something up there, and it's glowing, and it's downward. And that's where this tendril is coming from.
Nice. All right. So like kind of cinematically, like he's getting pulled and like Hallfrid breaks free and he lets go and tries to follow it a little bit, but he like fights against the current slightly, but he like kind of goes wide eyed and like giddy almost when he sees the thing as he like slows to a stop and then starts floating to the surface.
Yeah, you can even dimly make out a sort of a bluish violet glow just for a second. And now you guys break free. You're up on the surface, gasping for air. You are in an underground cavern. And I'm going to want to screen share something with you in a second. It is like blue and cold, and it's much darker than I'm about to show you. But if you light a torch, or if you have dark vision...
I have 10 XP to spend.
Here it is. Okay, now it's deeper than it looks. This is like a vertical chasm, and you've come up on you sort of come up on the shore on the right side there, and there's no light source coming from above, so this is not what you actually see. But this is the shape of the cavern that you're in, and if you were to light a torch, this would be you see. There's both rock and ice down here. The water is a weird, dirty kind of a color. You wouldn't want to drink it.
Okay. I'm assuming that Hot comes up behind me. So if Drake breaks free of the water, then I would pull him up onto the shore.
Okay, so everybody's up on the shore. Is anybody hurt? I don't remember.
I am down 1 might.
Okay.
I have 2 healing potions, but I'm holding on to that for now.
Yes.
I believe in the Great Bear Mother.
That's probably a good idea. Do we have a light source?
So it depends. I mean, are these like D&D adventuring packs in that we have other torches? Because I think he grabbed a torch from oil lamp or something from the bar.
If you have anything that we called a pro kit, then you probably have, flint, steel, tinder, rope, stuff you could either relight your torch with, or like build a makeshift torch from.
Nope.
I mean,
I
have the XP to spend. I mean, I'll spend it to say that we have a pro kit.
Well, I think that's a non-stupid thing, huh?
Right. I mean, we prepared for a journey to the north, right? I mean, so we, even at Wealth 0 would have had the gear appropriate to travel, right? So I assume that.
I agree. In fact, here's a way to do it without even breaking a rule. You give me a character development scene where you realize you need a pro kit and you bought one.
All right. So it's.
And while you're at it, feel free to throw in any cultural details.
Well, I'm just something simple. So like after the townspeople come to us and they offer this big stack of silver and whatever to go and do this, and we're like, yeah, sure, let's go do that thing, right? And we go in and we're like getting all strapped up and everything, and Hallfrid just looks over at the other two like we got all of our big winter, fur coats on, and Hallfrid's got his bear hood up and everything, and says, we should probably we should probably take some stuff with us, right? I mean, it's far. That's a far distance to travel. I mean, we could live off the land, Hoth. I know that you're good with the nature things, but we should probably take some gear with us, right?
Oh, yes, because especially we will need fire and such in order to ward off any of the evil spirits. So yes, definitely.
Well, I put great stock in the ability of the Great Bear Mother to protect us. It would seem practical to bring the things that we would need to supply us along the way.
Sure. You have a pro kit. It costs you 1 XP.
Sweet.
And at that moment, that justifies the next scene in which you're basically sorting out the stuff that it hasn't got too damp and fashioning together another end for your torch.
Sounds good.
And so now you do have light, and you do see what I'm showing you in the picture, except the light's coming from your torch. And these caverns are like made of ice, and this is rock too. But if you look at the picture there, you are pretty far below ground.
All right. Are there any is there any solid ground that we could get onto to get out of the water?
Yeah, you've come up on this little shore on the right, but that's not. It's not like a sidewalk. It's not there all of the time. If you go around that bend and look down to the right a little ways, there's no more shore. You're going to have to, dip into the river and come back up when you can and back into the river again if you felt like following this river.
And is this going?
This is in the direction.
In the direction, is this going upstream?
You're looking upstream. Yeah, the current is coming back toward us in this picture. Okay. And the tendril came from up there in the forest, somewhere in the distance.
All right, so yeah, I'll actually tell them. I saw briefly a light down below upstream. It is where the beast that grabbed us withdrew to. I believe that is where we are being called to. This is where we will find the monster.
Did you two feel, as it drew us along, it felt as if we had passed through our realm into another? Did you both feel that?
Everybody felt that. I don't know if you want to admit it, but everybody felt it.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it definitely feels as though we are not in our realm.
Ever since we made it to this crazy town, I felt as if we were already in a different place.
You saw a light ahead. Could you tell how far it was? Should we chase it, or should we try to?
I cannot. I mean, it's as if trying to tell how far away the sun or the moon or a star or a mountain is. It's not very easy, but I do know it is near enough that the monster was able to lash out and grab us. So it cannot be that far away.
Boy, that is a lot of words to say yes.
And yet it pulled us all the way from the basement of the bar. It must be a mighty creature indeed to be able to reach so far.
Yeah, when I say this creature is much larger than a human, I really mean immensely large. Like, you may have been dragged for a mile just in the last minute.
If the creature is as big as we fear that it may be, perhaps there's another way that we can go about this. Our job was to find PQ. Do we believe that she was taken to this realm as well?
Oh, quite possibly. If she came here, it is most definite that she would not have been able to fight back against this beast. I mean, if you had succumbed to its grasp, then no doubt she would have as well.
I think that the object of our quest here is not to slay this beast, but to collect PQ and get out with our lives.
Well, I don't know necessarily about that, Drake. I mean, imagine the mighty trophy that this would make. Imagine the great sacrifice to Rollin that we could make of this monster.
Everybody, while you're talking, give me psyche rolls. And if you have anything that feels like perception, you can add it.
That was 6 on the die.
I got a 6 total.
I got a 4.
Okay, 1 experience point for everybody. You all, this is actually for entering the new realm. This is what that point's for. I'm trying to remember to award them on the spot. But you all realize, your voices are beginning to get a little bit raised. I heard Hot sort of raise his voice a little in countenance to what Drake was saying. And then in mid-sentence, you stop because you all realize at the same time, you're being pretty loud and you hear something else in here with you. There are little, you can't tell what it is. Something's moving up in the ice and maybe in the corners and crannies of the cave. It could be like insects or little snakes or something. Small movements all around.
So it's a shot of Hallfrid, it's tied up on his face, and he kind of like brings the torch around, so it creates all that sort of shadow around him and everything. And he holds it further out, and we see like these black forms sort of moving. I would like to use the ways of the Wyrd to try to communicate with these creatures. One of my magical arts is ways of the Wyrd.
And what do you mean by that?
So it's essentially like a speaking with animals sort of thing. So with the mythology that we started to establish, that the Great Bear Mother brought humans into existence. They lived in harmony with the other animals. They could all, humans and animals could communicate. But as the eons passed, the animals forgot, humans forgot. But some people were born, every generation who were gifted, able to speak this language. So Hallfrid was one of those people who has this, blessed with this knowledge of the Wyrd.
All right, and what magical art are we calling this? Because I need to know what the DL is going to be for you. Defending. I guess we just sort of made it up, huh?
Yeah, I think we just completely made that one up because his main thing was protecting or defending, and then I brought up the word of the Wyrd.
Gotcha. Okay, and once again, apologies to our listening audience, but I did suffer a hard drive crash, and all my notes are gone. We're pretty much winging it tonight. So yeah, now I want you to tell me what it looks like when you do it, and what exactly you're attempting or what you're hoping to accomplish.
So I think he holds the torch high, right, so that we're all illuminated. And he kind of settles in, right? And he turns, within. And then he starts speaking in a language that these two don't, have maybe never have heard before. And it's not low and guttural because they're, he's assuming that maybe like they're insects or something. So it's kind of a sort of a high, almost like a lilting cadence, but almost like with chirps and like churs underneath. And he's essentially saying, hello, my don't know if you would say blind brethren, because they're in a cave, right? So maybe he says, "Hello, my blind brethren. Can you tell us where we are? We mean you no harm. Can you speak the word?" Right, and he just sort of focuses and projects this intention of like friendship and camaraderie, and trying to set these things at ease.
Right. Okay, so you're trying to beat a 4.
Okay. Yeah.
Other
so
two guys,
four-
are you just quietly watching while he does this?
I'm intrigued, and I have something up my sleeve just in case. But
yeah, Drake is definitely just sitting to see how they react, and then he also has something up his sleeve if things don't pan out.
All right, John, back to you.
Cool. I got a 6 total. Got 4 on the die and 2 for spell casting.
Okay, so this is going to be a yes and. You might want to use the and in sort of a sideways way because this is kind of a mystery that I do know more about than you at this moment, just telling you. They do not understand you. They recoil from your attempt. You have a dread sense of whatever you're contacting is seriously wrong, bad, like demonically wrong. And you stop even trying to communicate it out of fear for your own sanity. And maybe just a fortunate circumstance.
Maybe we're able to, so I look at them and I say, something isn't right. This is not right, and kind of like back us up and put us in an advantageous position.
I can give you the and if you want it.
Okay, I'm good with that. I suck at that part.
Because you sense these, you were grabbed by it. You had a religious vision when we were back in the inn. Okay, so these little minds are all around you. There's maybe a dozen at least that you could sense within the nearby area. Little spots of just like pure fucking evil, like upside down, like not from this world, right? But they're all linked as one. The same way as all the people in the village felt to you. You get the feeling that these are not 12 separate creatures. They're actually little parts of the same thing that dragged you down here.
Oh, so he tells them that then. Not only is this wrong, but these seem to be part of that same creature. It's infecting this whole area. They will not help.
You hear slimy little noises, like little wet worms sliding on ice or crawling around.
These are creatures of Faden. They are of the darkness sent to test us.
Drake is like, to stay here with these things is certain death. We must leave at once.
Should we not try to dispatch these first before dealing with the larger creature?
I'm also wondering, Drake, when you say we must leave at once, which direction are you pointing? Forward or back?
Probably forward, as much as he probably is regretting it. Drake looks to Hallfrid and says, you communicated with them. Do you think that will be an easy task?
They are evil to their core. They've repelled even by the touch of my thought.
then
But
maybe
they
we
are-
I don't
should.
know. I don't know if your religion has this in it, but you know, like I use the word demonic. They're like anti-God or anti-good, or whatever
Yeah,
word
yeah.
you would use.
Yeah, dark spirits.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we do not handle these now, and they follow us, it would only make a stand against this creature that much worse.
And defeating them now will only put us in the favor of the gods. If we run in fear, then they will look unfavorably upon us as cowards and curse us.
Those little noises are coming closer.
Okay.
You have attracted their attention.
So I look to both of them and I say, and I look to the both of them and I say, may I?
Please.
All right. So I am going to try to cause disease.
Nice.
Ooh.
And the way I'm going to try to do this is I'm going to try to cause. I'm trying to think of the right term to use because I don't know. But I want to do something almost like a.
I'm thinking leprosy.
Well, I'm actually thinking more of a communication thing, like affecting their brain.
Ooh.
Since they all communicate as one, if I break that communication, then maybe they will be distracted and at a disadvantage.
Oh,
You give
wow.
them Alzheimer's.
Yeah, that's what I was
Right,
trying to think of. I was like dementia or Alzheimer's or something, where they.
Give them brain worms.
Yes.
Give the worms.
Okay, so what does it look like when you do this spell?
Okay. So when I do this, I've talked about this, I think, in the last session we had. So basically it looks like he's doing art in the air, and it looks like he has a paintbrush, but this paintbrush is dark in nature. And what it does is it kind of makes what he thinks is a mind. If it's what it looks like, the human brain, if it looks like a fantasy brain, whatever. And then
Maybe a glyph, a symbol for the mind.
yeah. And instead of doing something with that art, he actually takes his fake paintbrush that he has that he's using with, and he turns it around to the other side, and it turns into a point. And he starts stabbing certain parts of this glyph to create the interruption in the parts of the brain.
Kind of like a voodoo doll, like using pins in a voodoo doll.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
Cool. And so beat a 5 for me.
Okay. Let's see. So with that's when you were rolling for this stuff again. I can't remember what skill am I using or stat?
With you, it's probably Psyche.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
And then you get an ad for Vitalia.
Okay. So I get that +2 on it. That is a 6.
What was so the natural roll was a 4?
4, correct.
Okay. You're going to get a yes and here. I'll counsel you the same way as John. See if you can think of a sort of a sideways way to use your and.
Okay.
You do succeed in making these things. The movement around you stops every time Drake makes a stabbing motion, or not every time, but many of the times Drake makes a stabbing motion. You all hear something plop to the ground, like it hurt it and it fell from its perch or lost its grip on the ice. But it only works for a few of them. And you get the general sense, Drake, that the ones that you can sense nearby, those are just the ones nearby. There may be hundreds of them, and you don't have enough power to affect the whole thing. And you get an end.
Okay. So are you telling me that I feel like there are more, or do you think that I know I'm affecting something close, but not further away?
I'm telling you that it's kind of like killing individual cells in a body. So you've done damage to it, but they're just like, they're all one thing, really. They're all just little parts of one big thing. So it's like you killed one worm, call that one hit point, but you're talking about it's just part of a big thing that has maybe 100 hit points. So overall, it's just, it's like a hive mind. It's like an amoeba.
Mm-hmm.
And the little parts are just like split off parts of the big thing. So that you can kill them. You haven't really hurt the big thing. And the other minds are still united, even though that one mind stopped.
Okay.
This thing is so big, you get a sense of vastness.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get a feeling of interdimensional vastness.
Okay, so I think for my and then I think I tell Hallfrid and Hot. I think I'm just like I feel that this is futile. I feel that we could be here for days, nay weeks, nay years, and you never know. I feel like we need to find the nucleus. We need to find the mother brain. We need to find this thing, and if and we need to take care of it. Otherwise, we will fight in vain.
Yeah, 1 XP for John, 1 for Kurt.
Hothrafn will have he has like his 2 axes on his hips, and he like has them about to pull out, and then he'll like kind of shoot like over his shoulder glance at Drake, and then let go of them and be like, "You have not let me stray yet, so I trust you."
By the way, you can see one of these things if you hold up a torch, like the closest plop. Right? It's about the size of a cheap hot dog. It's not as round and regular as a hot dog. It's sort of a random, like a bird turd or something, but it is pink and about as thick as your thumb and about 4 or 5 inches long.
Almost like a giant centipede.
Yeah, and it's got reddish pustules in it, and it's clearly dead because whatever Drake did to it.
You're muted, John.
I think I leaned down and put the torch to it. Almost for spite, right?
Mm.
Like if it's part of this whole thing as we're thinking, they're like, oh, well, fuck you too, like, and then he just looks back to the other 2 and says, which way then?
Okay, actually, you put the torch to it, and you all hear a psychic, soundless scream, just like for a second, and then it goes up in flames and it's gone.
So then instead he turns
in the air, wiggles,
and he says, "Fire will hurt it."
These things don't like. They really don't like. They like fire. Even they didn't scream when Drake killed him, but the dead body screamed when you burned it.
Yeah. Then he says, "Which way?" And he, holds the torch up and like illuminates and reflects and reflects off the ice.
We follow the river up.
Let us go then.
Very good.
And I guess I take the lead because I have the torch.
Yeah.
And he pulls a hand axe. He pulls one of the hand axes because he's got the torch. And he has the big axe across his back.
You guys walk onward for it may be as long as an hour, and there is not always a convenient shelf on the side of the river. You often have to wade into the river, and sometimes it's even deeper than your feet, and you have to swim. It's not easy going, and I'm going to need a grace roll from everybody. Beat a 2 just to avoid getting hurt or breaking something.
6, baby.
6.
Backstroke. The torch in my mouth.
I have 4.
Okay, so it seems like Hot and Hallfrid have actually figured out some sort of convenient methodology, like how to bundle things up so they stay as warm as possible, passing stuff back and forth. There's only one guy with his hand up above the water surface at a time, and the other guy calling out directions to him. They work out a system. You both get 1 experience point. You manage to keep all of your shit dry, which is not easy to do. And you come around a corner. Now, by the way, as you move, you continue hearing these little slithering noises around you. And every once in a while, one of them plops, and you'll see it kind of worm its away from you. They don't like the fire coming within even like 20 feet. They're watching you. You can feel that you're being watched, but they don't want to come too close. As you press forward, they sometimes drop and scurry to get away from the flame. You finally come into a large grotto, big underground lake. It's difficult to see the other side. You may be looking at rock on the other side, or it may just be fading into the distance. It's hard to tell, but it's at least 100 meters across. The water's pretty still. This seems to have been the source of the river that you've been following. So you've been going at a slight uphill. And there is a little bit of bubbling in the center of this lake.
Do we come through like an arch, not a doorway, because like it's a cave, but like through like sort of an arched opening into this big cavern?
Come through a very wide arched opening, like you could drive a Humvee through it. And around the sides of the cavern, you see other little rivulets, some going up and some going down.
All right. So, question: with the bubbles coming out of the water, are they in a like kind of regular pattern, and do they kind of just have like a quick burst to them, or is it somewhat irregular with like almost like a held bubble before it pops?
It's actually I misspoke when I said bubbling.
Okay.
What I meant is movement. Like the water's the water's fairly still. The current is pretty slow.
All right.
But in the center of this thing, there's movement that sort of ripples outwards, and it gives you the impression that there's something directly beneath that that's moving.
Almost like a secondary like water's like source or something disturbing the water.
Yep.
Okay.
And it could be water welling up, or it could be a creature, right? I mean, we don't know. Right? Like if it's a spring that feeds this whole complex, then it could be water bubbling out. Yeah.
Yeah, and if the water was hot, you would naturally. If the water was hot, you would naturally assume, oh, that's the source. That's a hot spring.
Right.
But the water's freezing cold. So what?
Cold spring?
Yeah, I mean, I think we probably all assume it's the creature, but like, but that's what it looks like, right? I mean,
I was figuring too, like Hothrafn, especially like living on the coast and everything, probably is used to like mussels and clams and things like that. So he knows what like the bubble of like a creature underwater looks like. So,
well, a normal creature.
Yeah, actually, I wasn't thinking about your nature skill. I won't make you roll it, but yes, This looks exactly like a creature with multiple fins or legs, a large creature moving below the surface.
all right.
Not right below the surface, but rather deep.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that if we're calling the pro kit, like a backpack or a traveling kit or that sort of thing, Hallfrid, wordlessly just kind of stops. He plants one of the torches in the archway because we know those things want to stay away from it. So it kind of blocks that space. And he just starts taking, however many torches would be in the kit and starts lighting them and placing them around the outside in our area.
You have 6 torches in your kit.
He lights probably... if there's 6 total, we have 1. He probably lights 4 more and spaces them out every, 10 to 20 feet to give us illumination and to give us protection from these things.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be my action for the next, couple of minutes because he's using a flint and steel. Well, no, the other one's lit, so he probably just
Right. Yeah. Just use those.
just lights them up. so for the next minute or two.
What is the likelihood that we would have any oil or saltpeter, anything like that we could use as a secondary fuel source?
You probably have.
Kit?
Yeah, in your pro kit, you probably got some tinder and some kind of oil.
Yeah.
You fashion a small lantern or something like that.
Right.
Probably.
Yeah. So I'm thinking. Well, so my thought. See if I'm going too far with this. Is I want to coat the blades of the heads of the axes with some oil, so that time comes, I can actually just put it over a torch, light it on fire, and start. And even if I just get one swing at this thing with a fiery blade, and before it probably go out after that first strike, but at least I can get one strike in if necessary.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't know what to call that, but that's a cool invention right there.
Burning axe.
What's Drake up to?
Okay, so I have to apologize. If you can see me on my phone, my kid won't go to bed, so I apologize. I had to yell at him. And then I tried to find where my stuff was that I had on my phone, and then I lost that, so I had to find that. So I kind of don't know what's going on. I know that you were at the base where the beast probably is, and it's cold water going into. Is it a well? What is it again?
So it's a big pool. The cavern itself is, at least 100 meters across. Yep. There's this big pool in the center with water welling up, which we believe is a creature. Yep. Hallfrid took 5 of the 6 torches and placed them about 10 to 20 feet apart, kind of in an arc where we are on our side for protection.
Yep.
Hothrafn is coating at least his 2 axes currently with oil from our adventuring kit. That way we could light those on fire when if this thing shows itself. So we're up to you if you want to do anything. In the interim is we're kind of taking in this space and sort of preparing.
Okay. Okay, well then I will do something. I felt like my character was kind of, I don't know, SOL at this situation, but I think what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna try to cast Diagnosis in the middle of this spring or whatever it is, and I'm just gonna see if this is the being, I'd be able to tell it what kind of health it had. If it, because we've done some things around it, so we've kind of done some things to its tentacle pals or whatever, and we've done it to the little things. I think this is a good way to and I can't remember what it is, but in Final Fantasy you can actually cast a spell where you can be this is how much health they are, and this is what they're immune to, and this is their strengths and weaknesses. I want to do, it doesn't have to be that morose if you don't want it to be, but I just want to know where it's at.
Go ahead and okay. So this is a psyche roll plus Vitalia. Roll as high as you can.
Okay.
Let's see what happens.
Ooh,
Is this a gradiated action?
It is a gradiated roll.
Yeah.
Okay. So with the Vitalia, did we decide that was a +2, right?
I think so.
Okay. Just want to make sure. I want to make sure because I know I said that last time, but
It was a +2 or a +3. I don't remember how you made your character.
Yeah, I think it was a plus. Oh wait, you're right. It's +3. Haha.
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was more.
Screwed up. So my last one, I had one more than even that. Okay.
Oh wow.
So technically, this is an 8 with a 5 as my roll.
Nice.
Okay, you just barely want to touch this thing with your mind. You just want to graze it. It's so revolting that you kind of have to psych yourself up to even do it.
Yeah, I think from trying to find out with those little guys that I know that I have to be wary of what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's like touching the grossest thing you can imagine, but you're doing it with your mind. And so you just want to graze it and get as much info as you can, and then back off. What you get is that it is not very hurt, but you know what? It's very agitated. It's very angry. And you get an experience point.
Okay. So he like in a weird, like uncharacteristic moment, he kind of laughs a little harder than he would normally laugh because he's kind of like this, life and death, being on this earth is just kind of like, an eternal joke kind of thing. And he just kind of like, he laughs not for Hallfrid and Hot's sake, but he does it more to kind of get under the skin of this being. And it's just like, we've made it mad. Isn't that true?
And yeah, I think Hothrafn will actually turn to Hallfrid at that point with like a grin and says, "Look at that, brother. I believe that we have finally dragged Drake to our side. The bloodlust has finally overcome him."
And Drake turns to Hot and he says, do you know what the funniest thing is? Is that this being is of a massive proportions, and it is mad at us. Can you believe it?
Just imagine how much blood it will spill to quench the thirst of Litna then.
So I think Hallfrid probably, pulls the large axe and he begins to chant a prayer to the Great Bear Mother, almost singing, like a battle song, but a song of praise. And he wants to. We talked about this in email. And I don't. Well, no. Maybe we could probably just use protection. I guess we'll just do protection then. He wants to. He beseeches the Great Bear Mother to protect them for this upcoming battle, and he's just, he's got the axe out. He's kind of like hopping from foot to foot, like he's getting, he's bringing up the bloodlust, and he wants. He beseeches her to offer her protection, so that they may do her work and bring honor, unto her name, sort of thing. So I would like a protection for all three of us. I guess at a +1. Otherwise, it gets crazy, right? Like I don't know that I can hit it.
Okay, so you're shooting for a +1. This will be going to do a gradiated one again, actually. Just go ahead and roll as high as you can. Let me know what you get.
Oh, that's going to be an 8.
I'm starting to think that narrative magic, or maybe certain types of narrative magic, actually work better on a gradiated basis. That way you don't have to say +1. We can just kind of go with the fiction. So your total was what? I'm sorry?
I got an 8 total.
Oh, that's quite good.
I actually have an and if you'll give it to me.
Yeah,
you might be breaking it. Well, I don't know. It's not that kind of roll. I guess it doesn't matter.
Okay, well, the other guys sit there quietly as Hallfrid performs his ritual. What does it look like when you perform your ritual?
Like I said, he's got the axe out. He's got the bear hood up, and he's kind of like he's not hopping from foot to foot, but like he's active, right? Like he's chanting, he's singing, he's loud, right? Like he's not trying to hide the fact that we're here. I'm not going to sing in Old Norse, but like that sort of thing where he's like really getting into it. He's getting louder, and he's kind of like he's getting himself ready. You know what I mean? Like he's kind of like hopping around and.
All right, so this is sort of like a ward dance kind of a ritual.
Yeah, kind of. I guess sort of, kind of
shouting and calling.
Yeah.
As he does that, you guys, the room begins, the cavern begins getting darker and darker until all you can really see is the silhouette of Hallfrid jumping around, backlit by an almost invisible blue light. Comes from the bottom of the center of this lake. It's the same light that Hothrafn saw earlier. So the thing itself is emitting this blue light, which you're getting a sense that is like the magical feeling, the essence, the veil that you pierced when you were dragged down into this realm. It's symbolized by that blue light. It may not be the creature itself, but rather the magical essence of whatever it is or whatever brought it here. It's antithetical to all natural life on Earth. But the cavern has grown completely dark. There's no sounds except Hallfrid's voice. And then you begin to see stars appearing in the ice ceiling of this cavern. Little pinpoints of light, one by one. And they're starting to form a picture of the night sky, almost as though you're looking up through a mile of earth and topsoil to see the stars of the night sky.
Does it match our sky?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
The figure of a great bear forms itself among the constellations. You feel her energy radiating in white clouds off of her body that comes down and envelops all of you. The blue
Hallfrid
thing
starts screaming. Like howling almost.
This is like, like in The Lion King when the father's head appears in the clouds. It's like that. It just sort of like fades into visibility, and you feel just this tremendous power radiating off of it. All of you have a +2 for the next little while, and you feel it's there for less than a minute, but it's long enough for you to feel that you're on the right path, that she wants you to keep doing what you're doing. Now, the blue light in the center of the lake actually sort of dilutes and dies down while this presence is with you. And as the illusion fades and the darkness again comes back to, the bluish glint of the occasional torchlight off ice, you're back in the normal ice cave again. and the image is gone. But so is the blue thing.
Like Hallfrid's like crazy eyed. Like he turns to the other two and he says, "She is with us. We must destroy it."
And that was an experience point for you too.
Yeah, and Hothrafn, when he saw kind of like the light dim as it submerged and then slowly come back, he'd be like, "Do not fear, beast. Do not fear your death. It will be a grand one that will be sung in the halls."
All right, I need to refill this coffee. You guys can think for a minute.
As all this happens, like Drake kind of looks at Hallfrid and Hot and actually smiles, and he says, "For a being as myself that does not feel much cold, I feel the warmth of the mother bear around me."
She supports us. She is with us. She will help us prevail against this thing, whatever it is. We must strike now. And he, like, again, just eyes blazing, full hood up. You know, he's huge. He looks like a big fucking bear in the darkness with the torch flickering. You
know, Drake, do you think that you would be able to entice it enough to anger it enough that it can its surface, blind it to its own protections, so that we can face it?
Trying to think of how Drake would do that.
What are you thinking?
Hot asked Drake how he could agitate the beast to kind of come out and play, and trying to think of how I could do that. Okay, so I'm gonna try something. Maybe it'll work. I think what I want to do is I want to try to focus on that blue light that's down there, and I want to try to cause disease again, but this time I want to cause like fever. I want, because everything is so blue and so cold here, I want to see if I can just make it not like somebody taking a fireball and throwing at them, but like an actual fever where you feel it like all through in your body, into your bones, that kind of thing.
You want to get hot.
I want it to get very hot.
All right. This is a Vitalia roll. You've got your +3. Let's just roll as high as we can. This thing is so huge. It's like, you can't do serious harm to it. It's just one spell, but you can maybe piss it off and learn something.
Okay. So with the mother bear's +2, does that give me a +5?
It's an armor thing. It's like
it's an armor thing. Okay.
Protection thing. Yeah.
Sounds good. All right. That is a 7 total.
And what's it look like when you're doing this? How do you do it?
Okay, so I think what would happen this time is same kind of thing again. I think I like the whole like him as an artist kind of thing. So like this time he
and the CGI.
Yeah, exactly. Except for this time, it's like he's doing finger painting. So like instead of like using a paintbrush, he like kind of almost like licks a finger, dips it in like invisible ink, and then starts drawing the outline of what he thinks the creature might look like. Because he hasn't quite seen it, but he can kind of feel like he can see it in his mind's eye.
It's a blob with lots of tentacles coming off it.
There you go. So he does that, and And then what he does is he actually takes his hand and he takes it in kind of like almost like a circle, and he starts blotting out certain parts of it to make it look like it's like boils of hot heat. And then once those circles kind of show up, he kind of takes his hands and he kind of goes like this, and it makes those bigger holes turn into smaller holes, almost like it's hot disease just kind of flaking out into the whole beam.
Go ahead and roll it.
Okay. So am I rolling again?
I'm sorry, had you already rolled it?
Yeah, I had actually, and it was a 7 total.
The vision forms. The glyphs are holding. You see the dark spots in it, and then you try to break them up into smaller spots. The problem is they sort of get filled in. As sort of the big ones break into smaller ones, instead of spreading the way that you want, they just sort of get filled in, almost like it's a liquid. It just sort of running in to fill the holes that you're creating, almost as fast as you're creating them. You get the sense that you're hurting it, but you're not freaking it out the way that like actual fire did.
Okay.
It's able to heal pretty quickly. So you're harming it, but it's healing, and you're harming it more, and it's healing. It's a little bit behind you, but you know.
Gotcha.
You're not doing anything permanent, is what I'm saying. You're hurting it, you're pissing it off, but you're not doing anything permanent.
Okay.
And it's not shrieking like it did when it touched real fire.
Okay.
I think what we're trying to do is get it to surface.
Yeah.
Like piss it off enough so that it gets aggravated and stops thinking.
Yeah. Well, I think
you don't see it anymore. You're envisioning it in your mind's eye.
Right.
But the blue light's gone. The only light left is the torchlight.
Okay.
Ever since the bear appeared, the blue light had faded and it hasn't come back.
Okay. So before, once that happens, Drake looks at Hallfrid and Hot and says, I don't think that what I am able to do will help. Physical fire is what it really needs, and I'm not sure if I can help.
One experience point for you, Drake, and you get an and.
Okay. My and is going to be that I realize that yeah, no kidding. Done. I realized that back with those little things back before in the cave that they responded to us being loud and kind of awaking what's happening, because I think they feel like it, whatever it is, has a very chill kind of like, oh, we're in a cavern, nobody interrupts me kind of thing. So Drake uncharacteristically again just starts to scream, oh, retract, foul beast. Is that all you are, or is that all you are meant to do? It's interesting. Something as big as you is scared as something as small as I and my friends. And he just like tries to scream in the loudest voice he can get, and he just says, if you are the strong beast you say you are, then you will show yourselves, coward.
Hallfrid's getting real fucking antsy. His eyes are darting around like he's waiting for something to happen. I think Hallfrid probably grabs one of the torches and starts, if there's like a ledge or whatever all the way around, he grabs one of the torches and starts running around the side to see whether or not there's another exit or another what's the other way?
I think that's a great idea, but I need to pause you for a minute because something weird is happening, and I have no mouse right now. What the fuck?
Oh,
And he's gone.
I have an idea, and I think it's going to be a really stupid one.
Well, my thought was to jump in the water, but I really want to have the fire.
My idea was to ditch the fire because it's clearly afraid of it.
No, I think the spirit of the bear mother forced it away.
Well, yes, but my thought was getting rid of the fire will give it like will I don't know. Words are escaping. Like
Entice it to come out.
Yeah, exactly. Like the putting the fires out it'll be like, oh, okay, I got the upper hand now. They can't hurt me, so I'm gonna come up. I have a plan though. So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see if your plan works of trying to find another path.
Well, depending on what the weird thing is.
Yeah.
If not, I'm just gonna start kicking.
And when you say you have a
thing, but yeah, if not, I'm just gonna start kicking torches into the water.
There you go. What you're supposed to do, you're supposed to say, I have a plan, because you have to say it weird before you have one like that. That's stupid.
So if it had been a regular roll, my end would have been a +2. So
yeah,
we did it. But yeah, I don't want to fight it on its terms. I don't want to go in the water. And quite honestly, I'm not sure. If it's got like 100 hit points, we'd have to hit it 100 times.
Yeah.
I don't think it has. No.
Well, but even if it's got 40 or 50, right? Like if it's this huge thing, we're at a huge disadvantage to try to physically fight it, right?
Yeah.
So we have to try to get it on our terms.
Mm-hmm.
So I really want to jump in the water, but that's not the way to do this.
No. And I'm trying. I mean, my whole thing is I'm just trying to lure it into like a false sense of security.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully,
so
my
maybe if you
works.
Well, maybe if you put out like 4 of the 5 or 3 of the 4 that are still with you, because I have the other one and I might be running away.
Yeah, good point. That might work.
But leave the one in the door because that's keeping the other pieces away, theoretically.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's probably rebooting. If the mouse stopped working. Because if we can like get it out onto the ice, then perhaps we can like cause an avalanche not an avalanche, but like a cave in to crush it, right? Because that would do enough damage then theoretically to kill it.
Yeah.
But if it has the people stored away somewhere, we'd probably want to try to get them theoretically.
If they're not already dead, technically.
I mean, they could be completely drained at this point. Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we have no idea how long this thing has been here or if it's feeding on them or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. This could be a thing where we think, oh, we have a chance, and then we don't have a chance.
Right.
I mean, I don't feel like Todd would put us in a position that would be like, oh, well, that was fun and I killed you, but we know magic works now, right? And we got the feeling from, the spirit of the bear mother that we're doing what we're supposed to.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. I mean, I think it makes sense that Hallfrid just jumps in. I mean, really. I know you won't do it, but I think that's like
he's like full on fucking crazy eyes, all fucking jacked up, like he just shot up, like, or just, fucking snorted like 4 lines of coke, like he is just vibrating.
Yeah.
And then when she showed herself, like that's it.
Yeah.
Like, this is what it is. She's told me that this is the thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But we'll have to. Hopefully, he comes back.
No
and depending on the weird thing, depends on whether or not I actually grab the torch and run around. Because maybe I don't.
Yeah.
Because he probably would 100% jump in the water. Jump in the water.
Yeah. At this point, Drake might do that because I'm like, I feel like I wasn't kidding with what Drake said. I feel like right now, I feel like he's just kind of at a weird disadvantage because I've got these spells that, like, I think I've been doing a pretty good job of using them, but right now I'm not. Right now, Drake's kind of like, I'm lost. What do I do? That kind of thing.
Yeah. I probably should have bumped up my axe to +2.
Yeah.
When I had the chance.
Yeah. I actually ended up so I'm with the 10 XP that I had, I actually end up taking a second, whatchamacallit, a magical arts.
Nice.
So that's what I'm gonna try. That's my plan, is to put my second one into use.
Nice. Which one did you take?
Enhancing.
Nice.
So we'll see.
Well, when I rebuilt Hallfrid with the right rules, I was able to do what the fuck are we calling it? Ways of the Wyrd to bump it up to 2 because that was only 2 XP. I think everything else was the same. I wound up taking Survival Arctic and Animal Handling, so I wouldn't have a neg on that roll for the Ways of the Wyrd.
Yeah.
But I think that was it. I think I might have bumped Brains up 1, 2. Because I think I had 2 1s, which is not how I typically make characters.
Yeah.
But since we were trying to do like a specific thing, I got a little sideways.
Yeah.
So I think I bumped my brain because I switched Psyche in Brains, right? Because we felt like the magic is more of a feeling thing than like a thinking. Like, it's not like less of a wizard thing and more of like this is a part of who we are.
Yeah.
Right.
So I switched those because I think my Psyche was only a 1, so then I had to bump the Brains up a little bit.
Yeah. I even have a problem like having like a stat at 2. I'm just like, I don't know.
I usually do like 4 at 3 and 2 at 2, and then just a bunch of skills, as opposed to pumping one up to 4, which is great. But the best you could still ever do is a 6. So I'd rather have a bunch of skills to cover me.
Yeah.
True.
Than to have like one thing that I do super really well. I don't know. I feel like I make all my characters that way.
Yeah. I was actually kind of lucky because I actually bumped my Psyche to a 4, which is good because like the first time we played, like I didn't need it. I probably could have rolled 2 dice and been fine. But these last few times, if I didn't have 4 dice, that 1 die would have never came up. And I rolled a bunch of like 1s and 2s with those. And I'm like, I don't want to. So, all right. Well, since Todd is gone, I'm going to go to the restroom. I'll be right back. Sorry, everybody.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
I'm going to go when you come back. Or maybe I should just go now. Jesse, you want to carry the whole thing? I do have a cat on my lap now, though. Cat's going to make me stay here forever. He's so cute when he's sleeping.
I'm going to give myself a personal soundtrack and listen to some Viking music.
I have to watch the new thing on Netflix. I've been watching Mindhunter instead.
Oh, really? Yeah.
That's pretty good, and it's actually based on like real history. Like
Yeah.
the guy that they modeled the main character after actually was an FBI agent who wrote a book called Mindhunter, and then they sort of modeled the character after him.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I wonder if everything died and now he just can't contact us anymore.
Right?
Fuck.
I've been watching what's it called? Foundation, which is weird but cool. It's on Apple Plus.
I don't have that.
Amanda has it because she's part of the Apple ecosystem. So
for work.
They're so desperate. Anytime you buy a new product from them, they give you a year of Apple Plus for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's kind of like it's like future. It's like sci-fi. It's like science fantasy more than science fiction. But they similar, kind of like a Warhammer 40K ish thing. Like where there's like some science to it. It's like a cross between like Star Trek and Star Wars.
Okay.
So there is like some science stuff to it, and like math makes sense and everything. But there's like an empire with like emperor, but the emperor is like cloned, so they have like a young, a middle, like a 30-ish age one, and then an elderly one. So you get like different perspectives, but it's the same person.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's cool. And there's like a doomsday prophecy type thing, but it's like done through science. This guy's like predicted the future based off of like history and math and algorithms and everything. And so it's interesting.
Talk about Foundation.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so I think you got witness to the hard drive's last boot. I'm on the laptop again, and now even the temporary notes I had created for this adventure are gone.
We're doing it live.
We'll fix it all in post. So we cut out, or you dropped out when I said I grabbed the torch and started to run, and you were like, well, hold on, there's something that's weird happening. So that's kind of where we left off.
Yeah, well, it's not that there's something that's weird happening. It's that I think it was a good idea for you to look around the outer perimeter of this tavern a bit. Because I mentioned there are some other like hallways or cavern passages leading off in different directions. Some with water coming down into this pool, others with water trickling down from it. But there are actually a couple with no water at all. Just like kind of a dry crack in the rocks. It seems to be a hole or a crevice that you could go back quite a ways. Some of these are shallow water. Some of them are like running out at a firmly rapid rate. There's sort of an equilibrium here. So you've got a couple of streams feeding in and a couple of streams feeding out. But you do see a couple crosses where it's dry, perhaps negotiable on foot, maybe even leads to the surface.
So I feel like Hallfrid runs to the first dry one and, shines the torch up to see what he can see. And he just yells back because they were saying while you were away that he's like, it's like he snorted 4 lines of coke, like he's vibrating, like he's fucking cranked and ready to go. So he just yells, grab the torches. We must go this way. We must find the creature. And he's just like waiting at the mouth of the thing. You're like, come on. You're muted, Jesse.
Yeah, Hothrafn's definitely going with him.
You grab any of the other torches?
Yeah, I'll grab one.
How many torches are left then?
The widest crevasse.
So there was 4 that I put out.
Yep.
No, there was 5 that I put out.
You got 6
there's
total.
1 still in the pro kit.
Okay.
So there's 1 unlit. I have 1. Jesse has 1. So there's at least 2 more. If you want to leave the 1 in the door and grab another one.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. So when you guys come up, he's like, he shines the torch and you see the shadows come up, the flame and everything. And he says, do we take this way or should we follow the water? It lives in the water. Yes.
Hothrafn will get down onto his knees and draw like a crude circle with like kind of like a compass almost, and then he will pluck out one of his beard hairs, place it down, and then kind of close his eyes and say, Jal, please allow us to guide us and assist us in finding this beast so that we may flow its blood down the river and feed Litna's fields. And I'm going to attempt to use my my divining to see if the gods can point us in the most optimal direction so that we may further or swiffen this creature's death.
All right. You're also based on Psyche, right?
Yes.
All right. So this would be a Psyche roll. Add your divining.
That's a 6.
Just roll as high as you can. Let me know what you get.
That's an 8.
Nice.
And physically, what are you doing? Hot?
So right now I'm kind of on my knees and I've created like a crude compass in like a drawing of it in like the dirt or grime or whatever there is in this area, in hopes that that the hunting god will point us in the right direction.
Okay. The compass that you've drawn, one experience point for you. The compass that you've drawn on the ground begins glowing with this like golden glittery energy. And in the dead center of it, which you take to be the center of the lake, there is a black moving blob, which you take to be the creature. It's telling you that the creature is at the bottom and in the center of the lake. But you also notice something interesting. This is the and. Down further, the crevasse that Hallfrid had pointed out, there is a little pink. It feels like a flower. It's just a little pink light, but to you, inside, it feels like a flower, like growing up through the rock. And then the vision is over.
I feel as
that
though
blackness, by the way. The black thing in the center, it's blacker than black. It's darker than the space between the stars. It's a darkness not of this world.
Yes. So I'll say the beast of Faden is still slumbering within the pool at the bottom. However, Jal has pointed me to, I believe there is a flower of nature of Litna that will hopefully assist us in this task. And kind of nod and goes, Hallfrid, you have led us in the right way.
And let us go. And he starts to run.
Okay, grace rolls from everybody. Just beat a 2. This gets rather narrow and craggy at times.
2.
Oh my god, I rolled 2 1s. I have athletics.
I rolled 2 2s.
Oh, good. You can add that. Did okay, do you have any skills that you could add, athletics or anything like that?
I got nothing. Religion?
Okay, Hot.
Walking on water. Just kidding.
I don't have a copy of your character sheet handy, but you have dropped or lost an item, and it's a high value item. I just rolled 6. What did you drop?
I believe that will probably be. Let's see. I have 2 things that he could lose. That would be devastating for him. All right. It is. So he has 2 pouches on him. And one of them falls into the water. It's his pouch of Amanita, which is a psychoactive mushroom fungus that he uses in a lot of his divination rituals.
Okay, so it's like a medicine pouch kind of a thing.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, you know, you don't even notice it when it happens. It's not until later you realize, where did my pouch go?
Yeah.
You don't even know where it fell off, but it fell off.
You'll probably notice it later when he tries to use it.
Yeah. You guys move for maybe 20 minutes. Yeah, it's a pretty good clip, but at times you have to crawl and at times turn sideways, wedge yourself through, or take off your backpack, or in order to fit through the narrow crevasse. You do end up in another open grotto, not quite as large as the previous one. It's very nice and still in here. There's sort of a greenish light that's coming from phosphorescent moss around the walls of the grotto. And at the far end of the grotto, I wish I had the picture because I had a great little picture here. You see 3 little people. They kind of like people. They're humanoid. They're like 4 feet tall. They're standing in the water at the edge of the shore and like talking to each other and crouched over like they're looking for fish. They're covered in golden brown hair. You can't see their features too well, but some sort of primitive humanoid.
I think Hallfrid just yells, "Where does the creature reside? Where's the creature?"
Okay, so the 3 little creatures look up in your direction. They're startled by your voice, and they run out of the water and into a cave. They make noises, verbal noises to each other. You don't recognize the language, but they do speak to each other, and they're basically saying, what was that? Get out of the water, go to the cave, right? Whatever.
Yeah,
They hurry up and get out of the water and run to the cave, making noises. You scared them.
Yeah, I don't think I chase him down, but can I make is it an awareness to like take in the room, or just like what do we see in the room? Do I need to make a roll, or?
It is another large grotto fed by a couple streams coming in, and one larger one that sort of meanders out at a medium rate. And there are little silver fish in here. So the water is cleaner in here. It's not that dirty brown color that it was closer to the evil thing.
Mhm.
Now it's like pretty clear water, and you can see little fish darting around. This is probably what these guys eat. A little bit of natural life. Fish and moss. This is something that, Hothrafn, if you were to do a spell right now, I won't make you, but if you were to do a spell right now, you would feel back in your element. This is life, earthly life, flourishing in a cold, dark environment.
I think,
It's very still, except for the occasional trickling noise.
yeah, I mean, I think Hallfrid keeps moving forward. He's looking for, Hot said we were going in the right direction, so he's looking for, the next opening. Are we still moving on the right track? Like he's looking for a way forward.
There are a couple other openings around the side of this grotto, but the largest one is the one these little people went into on the other side. And you could probably make it around on foot. It would take a grace roll, or you could swim across.
I have a question. Do these people strike anything with Hothrafn in terms of perhaps a fantastical race of people, or perhaps something associated with one of the gods, like maybe
Let's do a nature roll.
almost like a mythical people.
Right, like are
Okay,
these the
so
little
nature
people of
or
legend?
yeah, you could call this nature, or Hallfrid could do this roll and call it ways of the Wyrd.
All right, I'll do that.
Approaching the problem from opposite ends.
Mhm.
They do nature or religion, or are they more natural than
Well, that's
mythic?
what you're trying to determine. That's what you're trying to
Okay.
determine. So whichever you have a better skill at.
I have a +2 in religion, so
I got a 7 in ways of the Wyrd.
there you go. I have 4 + 2, so 6.
Yeah, you're both absolutely positive that there's no tales of little fur covered people who live underground. You've
Okay.
never heard of such things. There are tales of like people who live underground, but
Right,
there's like dwarves, and there's like slimy golem like people, and there's uh, something like fairies or elves or whatever you would call them.
Mhm.
But these are more like somewhere between, like, I almost want to say between a human and an orangutan, but you've never seen an orangutan.
Interesting.
So Hallfrid just says to the
Very
other two,
primitive.
Mm-hmm.
What creatures are these? This is not something of the gods.
Nothing that the tales of the ancients tell. Perhaps we've traveled into yet another realm, not known to anyone yet.
Yeah.
Or
He
maybe,
looks down at the, go ahead.
do you mind? Yeah. And then Drake says, or maybe this is a collection of many worlds.
You're a strange dude, Drake.
Don't I know it?
Hallfrid looks at the water and the fish and everything, and he says, "This is clean. This feels different."
Drake looks to Hot and says, "You're the source of the way. Is it still strong in you, or has it dissipated?"
Jal pointed us in this direction. He would not set us astray. Clearly, he sent us this way for a reason.
I don't think you understand my meaning. I mean, is your sense of the way, is it still pointing this way? And he points to if we came in the one at the entrance and there's an exit going that way, he points that way.
Gotcha.
Yeah, according to the little diagram that glowed on the ground after he drew his compass, you're
Mhm.
probably where the flower is.
Okay. The plant of Litna is here. This is where we should be.
I want you to
Perhaps
remember,
we should
Jesse,
look
that you
around
have
and see if
you
we
are
can...
holding a +1 from the previous episode that I just remembered.
Yes, I have Beal's blessing.
Yes, you do. To use
Yep.
anytime you want.
I'm probably gonna hold on to that only because I got it. Beal is like the god of war, of like conflict. So I was gonna kind of... It made narrative sense to use it in more of that aspect.
Oh yeah, I just want to remind you it's there.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah.
So if you say that the flower is here, then Hallfrid just starts looking around for the flower. It's what does it look like? What are we looking for?
It is budding and grand and bright in color. That of a new baby.
It felt pink and alive and fresh and in stark contrast to the darkness that surrounded it. And he didn't see a flower. If you guys were watching, there is a pink glow that appeared on the perimeter, but what he felt inside was a flower.
Yeah. So I just start looking around. He's got the torch out in front of him. He's looking all out on the ground, looking for some whatever. See what he can find.
Yeah. Anybody else doing anything? And Hallfrid's not finding anything. There's the little fish are darting away from the light, and the moss is reflecting.
Hothrafn's just going to kind of start to wade into the water. Very, very casually, slowly, almost like baptismally.
There's a gentle slope. You can go in as far as you want. You will get to a point where it's up to your neck, and it keeps on gently sloping down.
So did you say the moss is around the cavern? Like the cavern,
sorry.
is it like of the walls and the ceiling and stuff?
Yeah, it's like growing up from the water line up toward the ceiling. It's mostly like just above the water. First few feet above the water line is where it grows the most dense, but it's phosphorescent, so you can kind of see, even without the torchlight, you can kind of see what's going on in here. And when you wade into the water, I imagine you took your backpack off and handed it to somebody. You realize that the water is cold here, but it's a normal kind of cold. It's not that weird magical cold that you felt earlier. You have exited the area of evil magic.
Right, yeah. And that's, I think, calming yet frustrating for him. Because he now knows we're kind of like outside of the...
by the way, and just now when you take your shit off to hand it to Hallfrid, that's when you realize you're missing the...
Yeah. So yeah, he feels outside of the reach of this creature, which is kind of not helpful in their ultimate goal.
What the three of you are all dancing around, obviously. No one said it out loud, but the real fact of the matter is, if this thing wasn't at the bottom of a lake, you probably would have charged in and attacked it by now. The problem is, how the hell do you fight something that's at the bottom of a lake?
Exactly, yeah.
That's a poser.
So we either fight at the bottom of the lake or we try to get it up out of the lake. But this thing is massive. It's not like we have a whaling vessel with us.
Probably fortunate that this thing is like kind of trapped where it is in caverns deep below the ground. If it was out on the open ocean, God knows what it would do to the coastline. You wouldn't want to see what this thing could do. Like, look what it did to the town of Burblenook. Right? You wouldn't want to see what it does to your coastal village.
So yeah, at that point, Hothrafn will kind of just walk to the point where it goes like over his head. And as he does, he'll like submerge and then just like float up onto his back in the water and just like keep himself afloat there for a moment, trying to think.
I think Hallfrid starts throwing shit, like he starts pushing boulders. He's like, I don't see anything.
And Drake?
I think Drake is going to use. I don't know. Drake. I'm gonna inner monologue. Drake, like the more they get into this cavern and stuff, the more lost he feels. He feels like he's like there's just something he's missing by even being here.
Yeah, in fact, I think all three of you are feeling like you missed something. You've gone past the thing, or you didn't see something.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're all getting that feeling.
Yeah.
I think after like pitching a couple of boulders around and like kicking some sticks or whatever the fuck, he
Loud
looks up,
splashes and echoes off the cavern walls.
Yeah, he looks up to the other two, sees that Hot's doing hot stuff, and he says, and he yells out and he says, "If it is not here, it must be in the cave." And he just starts stalking over towards the cave. Here, maybe that these creatures collected the flower for some other purpose. If we don't like,
okay,
I don't see it.
You're
so
trying
they
to
must
circumvent. You're trying to go around the outer edge of the cavern.
If that's possible, yeah.
Well, at times you have to climb over some craggy rocks. At other times, it's easy to do. In general, let's call it a grace roll B3.
Got a 4.
Okay, so you managed to make it over to the cave without hurting yourself. And I want to know what the other guys are doing while you're doing this. But as you get close to the cave, you hear little noises inside, and they're moving away from you quickly. They're scurrying away from you. They're scared of you, Hallfrid. You're a noisy, boisterous beast that just burst in here with a torch.
Yeah. I think he stops for a minute.
While he's climbing the rocks to go over there, what did the other guys do? Hot, you just having a nice back float?
No, Hot's gonna unsubmerge and try to calm Hallfrid. And because clearly we need a plan of sorts. So his brashness is not going to gain any favor with the gods at this moment.
Okay, so you're saying something to him? Chill,
Not
brother.
Yet. I'm getting out, and I'm just kind of at this point just being like Hallfrid, and like waving him over.
What about you, Drake?
I don't know.
Yeah, these guys are talking about this flower, and you don't even, you've got your own gods and your own myths. And you didn't see the flower. You feel like we're in the wrong place.
Yeah. So we ended up going in a cavern that had that had no water at first, and then we came into water, or
No, the water is like most of the time you're walking through at least a couple inches of water.
okay.
But when you first came down here through basically a river tunnel, and then you were in a large lake area where the beast was. That had lots of caverns and tunnels shooting off of it. So you went up one of them, following Hot's vision of a pink flower, which is
Okay.
supposed to be up this way. Now you've come to where the flower is supposed to be, but all you found is another grotto, this time with clear water, outside of the influence of the dark magic. It seems to you like you've gone through the area of dark magic and out the other side.
Okay. If Hallfrid is thinking about possibly trying to follow these other beings to try to see if they took the flower, Drake decides as a plan of action, hopefully. Let's just say he has his own little pack, and he's got like one of those like really kind of kind of crazy like knives that kind of like looks like it's got like it hooks the other way, the kind of thing, and he goes to try to like stab a fish because he actually wants to use that fish possibly if they catch up to these guys as a peace offering.
Oh, that's a nice idea. Got any skills that you can
Oh,
into
hell
this?
no. Let's see.
It's going to be kind of hard to catch a fish on a dagger.
It is. Unfortunately, I don't.
Yeah,
I mean, I could harm it with a spell, but I don't. Maybe that would work. I don't know.
Let's call it a grace roll, beat 4.
Okay. That's a 5.
You do actually manage to spear a fish, and it's one of the bigger ones, like 5 inches long.
Nice. So Drake walks up to Hot, trying to calm Hallfrid down, and he says, maybe this, as a peace offering to these beings, may gather our favor.
Oh,
Not
yes.
a bad idea.
Good thinking, Drake.
Okay, and by this time, Hallfrid has made it over to the mouth of the cave. You do hear they're whispering to each other way, way at the back of the cave.
If Hot had called out, he kind of stops once he's clambered over all the rocks and looks back to the two of them. Like, he just stops and looks like, I don't know, what do you want me to do then? Like,
does this luminescent algae or whatever, does it extend down into the quote unquote hallway that Hallfrid is at, or is it just contained in this grotto area?
The cave mouth goes upward, and so the water pretty quickly stops, and the moss stops maybe a meter past that point.
Oh, okay.
So it's basically growing off of the water and only reaches so far past it.
I was just wondering if we would still need our torches to see down that. So
yeah, once you get a meter or two into the cavern, you will need a light source. Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay.
There's little whispering sounds, and then they stop when they realize Hallfrid has come close.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just the occasional drip, trickle. They're trying to pretend they're not here.
So Drake kind of looks to Hallfrid and puts a hand on him, and he holds out the fish and says, and points to the cave. Yep.
Drake and Hot are together near the entrance to this grotto, but Hallfrid has climbed around the rocks to the other side. So he's pretty far from you.
All right. Then I'm gonna climb towards him, I guess. I'm gonna put the fish in the sack that I have and just climb towards.
Okay, so this is going to take you a minute. Grace roll beat 4. Hot, what are you doing?
I'll swim across. I'm already in the water.
Okay. And that's a grace roll beat 2. However, your shit will get wet.
5.
Yeah. You swim across much faster than Drake climbs the rocks. Drake, would you roll?
I rolled a 6.
Yeah, okay. So you do make it across, but Hot gets there before you, and he's wringing out his clothing on the other side. Hallfrid, you've been standing here for like a whole minute while your buddies came and closed the distance, and you're looking and listening, and you're getting nothing. They've gone completely silent in there.
I guess I wait for them. You know, I trust in my brothers to not steer me wrong. I'm assuming that they have some sort of a plan. I don't know about the fish, I don't think, right? Because I was climbing and like minding my own thing, right? So like I don't know about that. So he's just sort of waiting, listening. He's got the torch up. You know, he may look around in this space to see whether or not the flower is here, because now he's over here now.
Yeah, looking around, you see nothing that looks anything like a flower. You know, there's dirt, there's fish bones, there's little footprints, there's really not much to look at. Nothing looks remotely like a flower. By the time your buddies make it over to you, you're quite sure there's no flower here.
Okay.
Now you're all together just in front of the mouth of the Little People's Cave.
Okay. Yeah, so Drake will look at Hallfrid and look at Hot and just pull out the fish and say, you know, if these beings have this flower that we seek, maybe a peace offering is the way to go.
I do not disagree with that.
It's worth a try. I could try to communicate with them as well.
Drake says, yes. Do one of you mind taking my torch so it does not look like I am threatening?
I'll take it.
Okay. Do we want to snuff that one out for now? Save the tinder on it?
That's a good plan. He's kind of like puts it out in the dirt.
Yeah.
You muted, Todd.
It's very dim. So once you put the torches out, you can see for the first couple meters as you walk into the cave, but now it's too dark. There's no more moss.
Oh, we'll still have 2. So Hothrafn still has one and Hallfrid has one. It's just Drake doesn't anymore.
Are you behind then? Drake's in front?
Yes. Yeah, so Drake's a little bit in front.
After walking through a short, you imagine it's kind of an entryway, you see discards and trash piled up on the sides of the cavern, fish bones, and there's actually little bits of like some kind of leather. So it must be some kind of creature down here that they make leather from, because there's looks like, I guess you'd call it a shoe, something like a moccasin, and with a hole in it that's been discarded, and some rags, and something like a twine rope that was obviously used for a long time before it broke and was discarded. So these people do have some kind of primitive tools, and they keep their garbage in a particular place. They don't just strew it around. There's a little bit of civilization going on here, is what I'm saying. As you make it deeper into the cave, it splits out into a couple smaller caverns, but there's one of them with a light source. I imagine we're going to go look at that one.
Yeah, definitely.
In that cavern, as you walk in, there are little gasping sounds from these small furry creatures. There's about 12 of them, and they're all gathered together in a circle in the middle of this cavern. You don't see what's in the middle of the circle, but it gives off a glowing golden light. And when they see you, they clump together and they're trying to block your view of it. They're holy of holies. They're going to put their bodies between you and it. They're terrified. They have no weapons, but they're trying to make themselves look as fierce, and they don't look fierce at all.
So Drake walks out, is because he's an elite. He walks with his hands extended with the fish in his hand, and he just keeps saying, he just, even though they don't speak the same language, he kind of like puts it out towards them and says, "Eat, eat," and then every once in a while he'll slowly, not sharply, he'll just kind of put his hands to his mouth. Eat, eat.
Okay, brains roll from everybody.
Four for Hothrafn.
5 for me.
5 for me.
Okay, these little people are looking you up and down, and I'm giving Drake a bonus because he's the one that walked forward. They're not responding well. You might imagine they're like, children. They're like grade school age children, and you're a big scary man in a goalie mask that just walked into the room.
You described Drake to a T. Yeah.
And he's coming toward them making noises and gesturing toward his mouth. But whether that means I want you to eat this fish or I'm going to eat you like this fish is completely ambiguous. They're terrified of you. And you do notice that they're watching your feet very closely.
So once Drake knows that, he stops and he kind of puts his one arm out, and he kind of like looks kind of back towards Hallfrid and says, "There is a trap here. We must not progress."
Should I attempt to speak with them?
If you can.
All right, and now that you're close enough, they do have a language. They're saying words to each other,
I would like to. I don't think it's going to work. I would like to try Ways of the Wyrd, right? Because maybe these things also can be blessed by the Great Bear Mother, because we're all part of the same, the same world, the same. He wouldn't say Earth, right? But same thing.
What are you trying to do?
So he, I guess, probably holds the torch down, right? So it's not like an intimidating sort of like, and he just says, I think he just says friend, like maybe that's a universal kind of, right? So like if they understand the language, they would understand it, right? So he says, we are friends, we seek the flower.
Are you using any magic?
Oh yeah, it would be magic. Yeah, it would be Ways of the Wyrd. He's trying to tap into that primal universal language to see if these things, he doesn't think they're animals, but people as well as animals sort of can understand this language. So he's, taking a shot in the dark to see if maybe one of these things would also respond.
What does it look like?
What does it look
and is
like?
it about speaking, or is it about like emanating energy of some kind, or doing some physical action?
I guess it could be. So I guess maybe he, tries to make himself smaller, right? So like maybe he kind of like crouches down, he's got the torch behind him, He speaks in like soothing tones, tries to level himself out a little bit because he's been pretty way up, right? So he tries to speak in soothing tones. He says, we are friends. We seek the flower. The great bear mother has told us that this is the way. Like, not that they would get any of that, but right, like he's trying to be very sort of like even toned and sort of projecting calm, right, in the way that he speaks.
All right, go ahead and give me that roll. Hot, are you coming in with the other two guys, or are you kind of staying back?
Oh no, he's probably behind Hallfrid, but he's still approached with them, but he is kind of in the back of the pack.
Okay, but you all three now are officially in this little chamber.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, so now that you're all closer to them, you can see they're not only looking at your feet, they're looking at the ground behind you. Brains roll again.
I got a 6.
Yeah, you
Five.
did, Hallfrid. Yeah, it's Hallfrid who really figured. I was going to give you a +1, but you didn't need it. They're looking to see if there's any pink tendrils trailing off you fuckers.
Gotcha. So I got a 5 on the other roll to do the speaking. So when he realizes that, he says, we seek to destroy the creature. We are not controlled by the evil. And he kind of like pitches it in such a way of like dirtiness or like that's
You rolled a 5.
Yeah, my ways of the word was 5.
One of the little people looks like maybe an elderly one, although they're so wrinkled and weird looking, it's hard to tell. But he tentatively steps forward with one hand. He wants to touch you. Are you going to let him?
Yes.
Okay, they only have 3 fingers and 3 fat, stubby fingers. He touches your arm, and then he touches your shoulder, and he's looking at your face. He touches your face just a couple times around your face. He turns to the rest. You realize this guy's blind. He turns to the rest, and he makes a sound, and they all step back. And when they step back, the thing they've been covering and guarding releases its glow to illuminate the walls, which you see are covered in paintings. Ornate, complex, multicolored cave paintings. Symbols that you don't understand, and lines and twisting labyrinthine shapes. It may be a map, it may be a story. You don't know what it is, but it's recorded all around the walls of this room. And the thing in the center of the room is a flower. It is a pink flower surrounded by a glowing golden light. It's almost as bright as a torch. The little guy has just convinced the rest of them that you guys are okay. And now he points up at the walls and he nods his head. He wants to show you.
Yeah, I mean, I would step forward and like as he stands, like he makes it a point of like picking up his feet and kind of like shaking it and putting it down and then picking the other one up and shaking it and putting it down so they can see.
Very
like
good.
He can't see, but so that the other ones can see that there's no.
Very good. That relaxes them. What's that?
It said it's an odd dance that you do, Hallfrid.
No,
now you guys can all see.
Say they think that they looked at our feet not because of a trap, but they wish to see that we are not controlled by the creature.
So its reach does come down here then.
It must indeed.
the little guy he's starting to talk. You can't understand a single thing he's saying. And he's like showing you, and he's moving in order around the. So apparently there's a narrative to this picture.
Can we pick anything out? Does it tell the tale of the three adventurers who come to take the pink flower to destroy the creature? Right. So, like,
are we taking a good close look?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, Hallfrid would follow him, right? Like, so in Hallfrid's mind, it understands what he's saying, right? He's showing them that we're not connected to the creature. So then he would try to, because the gods clearly led us here, that like this must mean something, right? So Hallfrid would try to intuit, if he could, what this is, but he would be thinking more that either Drake or Hot would have a better idea.
Yeah, I mean, Hothrafn's definitely into these. Especially he's thinking of them as another branch on the same existence. So he's trying to see if these are like stories of the gods, but told from like their point of view, and if there's any correlation with symbols or any or a theme that he can see.
Okay, brains rolls all around. I don't really think there's anything you can add here.
I got a
4.
5.
I got a 6.
Nice.
Right.
4, 5, 6.
So, yeah. So Hot, you're looking toward the beginning of the story, and you see what looks like little flowers growing up out of the ground, and these little people are jumping out of the flowers, and then there's all sorts of you don't understand, and lots of lines going off in different directions with different symbols like placed at the end of each line. But then the pictures seem to like blur over each other, like that's a story, but it ends after the next story has already started. There isn't enough space on the wall for all of these stories, so they kind of cram into each other. It's hard to tell exactly where the creation story stops and some war story begins. There's Hallfrid is looking at sort of the middle section where the old guy is pointing right now, and that looks like lots of little maps, squirrely lines going off with flowers in some of them and red splotches in some of them and black splotches in other ones, and there's lots of what you think must be words written next to a lot. It's like a map of some kind, maybe the underground tunnels. But it's Drake who notices the most interesting part near the end of the story. There's a large purplish blue shaped, I can only describe it as a vulva. It looks like a vulva in blue ink, and pink tentacles radiate out from it with little humanoid figures at the ends of some of them. Some of these humanoid figures are falling down like they're dead. Some of these humanoid figures, the line that connects them to the blue shape has been smeared out. This looks like people who were controlled by the thing and either died or were killed, but there are others who are still alive. These pink tendrils coming off to, from a central point to touch these other humanoid figures. This to you looks exactly like the puppeteer thing that you've seen. And it's the end of the story. It's the last part.
Yeah, so Drake is probably going to convey, what he sees,
You don't know what the flowers mean, but there's lots of these little flowers. Wherever there's a flower, all of you notice it. Wherever there's a flower, that seems like good things. There's like pictures of people who are standing upright and fishes and food. And then when there's no flowers, you see dead people and pink tendrils
Yeah.
and black lines that go nowhere.
Yeah. And that's kind of what Drake was thinking, actually. Drake was thinking, like, where this monster is death, this flower is life. And he kind of conveys that to, to Hallfrid and Hot, and he's like, no wonder these beings do not want this to fall into anyone else's hands, because if this is the last, then what happens when this is extinguished?
The little guy has now come to the part that Drake's talking about, and he's nodding at Drake, like whatever Drake is saying is true. He's pointing at the same stuff Drake's pointing at. And he's making violent little cutting gestures with his hand.
So Hothrafn will take out his coal pot and he'll, dip his finger into it and draw like a crude fisherman. So basically like a guy, like a stick figure with a pole.
When your finger comes near the wall, they want to stop you. They don't want you to touch the sacred painting.
Do it in the ground.
Kind of just like, like whip his head down and then like drop to the ground and start to draw on the ground. So
They're okay with that.
So he'll draw a crude fisherman, right, with like the fishing pole and like a thing with a little hook, and then draw like he'll like do his best representation of the creature that they have drawn on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So like try to copy that, and he'll basically point and he'll draw two other figures with the fisherman. So he'll point to the three fishermen and to the three figures, point to the three of us, and then point like tap on the thing. And he's basically want to be like, how do we like fish for this? And he'll like,
I'm going to call this a charm roll.
Sure.
Yeah, beat a 4.
That's a 5. 5-2-2.
Hot's a charming bugger.
I mean, I was already charmed. I was already charmed by him, so need no roll for me.
The little old one watches you carefully and nods and grunts a couple times. And he looks like he's thinking. And then he walks over to the wall map and he points out that underneath the blue volvaic shape, there's like a straight line that's also blue. And then underneath that is like a big black splotch. It didn't even try for any recognition of shape or form on it, like a black amoeboid thing. And he shows he draws a line with his finger from the black, not really, but he moves from the black shape up through the blue line, and then he points emphatically at the creature. And he keeps on doing that. He wants to call your attention to the blue line in the middle. Every time he comes up from the blue line, he points that way. That's the way you came from.
Mm-hmm.
Every time he crosses the blue line, he goes like this. That's mark that. It comes up right here, and then there it is. It came from beyond the blue line. It comes from blackness. Brains roll for everybody.
Ooh, 6.
You got a 5.
Also got a 5.
Okay, so Hallfrid and Drake, you're getting this narrative. You realize they're telling you this thing came from another world or another place or down below, and it passed through some kind of barrier represented by the blue line, and now it's here. And that's what you're getting from this narrative. But Hot, you're getting something else. You realize they're talking about another world, not just the cavern below the thing. But you also notice those little black serpentine lines. there's one that comes straight below where the creature is. And there is another smaller oval-like shape. It's also blue, but it doesn't have tendrils. It doesn't have dead people, and it's underneath the other one. There is, those black serpentine lines represent a map of the cavern system. And there's something, a small blue oval, underneath the creature that can be reached through that tunnel there. One experience point for everybody for meeting these little creatures who they refer to themselves occasionally and slap their chests. They're called the Grig. I don't think it was the old Grig's intention to show you the way. It's just that while looking at the map, Hot is starting to figure it out. And he goes, oh, it looks like there's another chamber beneath the creature that you can reach through this tunnel right here.
So he will say, it's like, I believe that there is a way that we could get underneath the beast to meet it on its own ground. I think this is the way. I think this is how we can do it.
Is the flower the key, or was the flower... And he just kind of like waves his hand around the room with the creatures and the fact that like this is the focal point. Like
the flower is the light, the safe area, the space outside the reach of this monster.
Can we take a cutting? Can we plant this in the other chamber? Will it drive back this creature?
I would be hesitant to. We can ask, but I believe this is probably going to be a sacred relic. I do not know.
They didn't even want you touching the walls in here.
Right, exactly. That's where he's going from.
Can I attempt to ask?
I think this is more an effect of this, the growth, a symbol. I do not think that this is.
You know what, Hot? You have the religion skill, and you got a 6 on the brains roll a minute ago. Right. I mean, I probably don't have to tell you, but I'll tell you because Hot recognized it in these words. This is their religion. This flower is like their Jesus or something. This is their temple you're standing in.
Yeah. So yeah. This. I don't think that this would assist us at all.
The gods are fickle. They've led us to the way.
Is it now that you finally come?
Yes, they tell us one thing and mean yet something else.
Yeah, being dragged a mile underground by a pink tentacle from another dimension has a way of changing a man.
And how do you think that the bear mother would feel if you took the blessing of another god?
Oh, by the way, now they've kind of relaxed around you. They don't understand your language or anything. But one of the smaller ones comes up and points at the fish. Like, can I have that?
And Drake like pulls it back and puts it in his pocket. No, he'll gingerly like give it to the small ish being. Okay. And
they'll pull out some knives. They do have some like flint knives, not big, not much use against a monster, but enough to carve up a fish. So they're doing that, and actually there's some baskets one of them goes out and brings back in, they'll share their food with you if you're hungry. Now that they know you're not part of the monster, they've relaxed quite a bit.
Yeah.
They're
think
still
we
a little
have
bit
time.
wary of Hallfrid because he's.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
No, he'll just
Damn.
kind of Hothrafn will look around and just be like, I think we need to make haste. I don't think that we have time to if we want to come back here, yes. But the blood flows. And we must move
That's true. Who
in
knows
the time that we have
what
the
other
favor
towns
of the
it may have reached?
point. The bear mother looks upon us. Bill's blessing weighs heavily.
I believe in your sight. We shall follow you.
Down the Serpentine Cavern?
Yes.
Yep.
So mechanically, or has enough time passed that we are no longer blessed, or are we still blessed by the Great Bear Mother?
Oh, it's been less than an hour since then. I think you still feel like you're. Everyone but Drake feels like you're on the right course.
Okay.
Hallfrid, you know for a fact that the protection is still with you, and
Okay,
as you guys go down the Serpentine corridor, again, there's a lot of twisting and winding, and the little people will not come with you. They look a little bit scared. They look like they're warning you, but they let you go. After a ways of traversing this narrow hallway, you come out into an icy cavern. You've gone down 10 or 20 meters. It's colder and colder as you get there. You realize you're walking back into the region of evil magic. You can feel it pressing on you. It feels oppressive. The air is getting colder, and there's a strange otherworldly tinge to the feelings of everything here. An ice cavern opens up before you. And in the ceiling of the ice cavern is a large vulva-shaped hole with blackness deeper than blackness on the other side. It looks like a portal, a gateway made of ice. It is radiating evil magic, and the hole in the center is a fucking void.
And about how far up is it?
About 30 feet above you. Stalagmites and stalactites of blue shimmering ice everywhere. Freezing cold.
So is the portal iced over, or is it an actual hole?
It looks like an actual hole, but looking through it, you see nothing.
Yeah. So Hallfrid says, this must be the place then where the evil comes from.
Is there like a chunk of ice or a rock or anything nearby?
Lots of them.
All right, I'm gonna grab one and try to toss it up into the hole.
Grace roll? Got any acrobatics or anything like that?
Nothing. But I did get a 6.
You toss your rock up. It hits where the hole would be, but instead of disappearing through the hole, it rebounds back with greater force than you threw it in the first place. It doesn't strike anyone, but if it had hit you, it would hurt. It bounces off this, and you feel a psychic shock. You just made something very angry.
Oh, good.
And now you begin to feel the walls rumbling around you. You just woke up something.
Did Hot tell us about the other blue shape?
Well, this is it.
Let's say he did while you were walking down here.
I mean, so do we interpret then this space as that shape, or are we looking for something?
If Hot's brain roll serves, you are now somewhere around the bottom of the lake and directly above it, directly above you. So where you were before, with the center of the lake, is above your heads, and the bubbling, the movement in the water that you'd seen previously may have been something coming in or out of this hole in space, which you're now looking at from the bottom side.
Okay. Yep.
And yes, it is non-Euclidean, and your brain is having a hard time figuring out how that works.
Boy,
I have an idea.
do it.
I tell you. So Drake is gonna do exactly what just happened. He's just gonna blow out a big sigh like I just did. And he's gonna say to himself, but out loud, so Hallfrid and Hod can actually hear him. He's gonna say, "I don't know if this will work. This may be a bad idea." And he decides that he's going to try to use his healing. He believes that this black void is like a ripple in, like a cut in time or a cut in space, and he's going to try to use his healing to close it.
Oh my god, it's huge. This is going to be like beat a 9.
Yeah, well, hey, he said it was probably not going to be a great idea, so
okay, it's an 8 actually.
Okay.
What does it look like? What are you doing?
Okay, I'll say what I'm doing before I do it. So he is going to. This is going to be more of a flourish than anything he's ever done, and he's going to take his hand and use his hand like a paintbrush, but like almost like a big, like he's got pretty big hands, so his hands are like unusually spaced out, and he is going to use the whole room to basically make the outline of this beast from where you can see from above him, like the vulva and the void, and he's gonna paint it with all the color too. So he's gonna do the blue, he's gonna do the black, he's gonna take some white and kind of speckle the void, because he like believes that it's like maybe a universe or something like that. And then what he's going to do is he's going to take his hands and he's going to hit them really hard and like alight them with some kind of white light. And then what he's going to do is he's going to take his hands and he's going to take that void and he's going to try to seal it with his hands, to push it as close as he can to close that with as much might as he can.
All right, make that roll, baby. You're trying to beat an 8.
It is a 9.
Holy fuck!
I was just trying to figure out. I was like, "What's my bonus?" Yep, that's a 9. Okay.
Drake slaps. Where's Jesse? Jesse, get back in here.
He's still listening. He's just outside.
Is he? Okay.
Letting the dog out.
Okay. So Drake slaps his hands together. The ice portal actually slams shut. The walls are trembling and big stalagmites begin falling from the ceiling. You're going to have to dodge these fuckers in a minute. Drake, you may have just closed it. The question is, have you closed it for good? Because the whole place is now shaking like a fucking earthquake, and big jagged shards of ice are starting to fall. Everybody make a grace roll. You're trying to beat a 4.
Can I add my athletics?
Yes.
I got 6.
Ooh, 6.
Drake is concentrating so much on what is happening that he rolled a 2.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. The thing slams shut. The walls are shaking. A stalactite falls from the ceiling. Drake, it hits you. It hits you in the back. I guess you're kind of bent over. So it hits you in the back. You're taking 1 point of might damage. It goes pretty deep. You've just been stabbed by like an ice spear.
Yeah.
Would the protection of the bear mother assist him?
Thank you. You were not stabbed
Oh,
by an
yeah.
ice spear.
Yeah.
Instead,
Yay.
you guys are watching as a jagged point of ice falls directly toward Drake's back, and it bounces off of him like he was made of rubber. Doesn't harm him at all. Thank you very much.
When it starts to hit, Drake shimmers in gold, and you just see the form of a bear kind of like raise up over him.
I love it. I love it. Now, Drake, are you a believer yet?
Let's just say that when it happens, he's not shocked, but he smiles. He's just kind of like, he's never been protected. So it's a welcome and weird feeling.
It is indeed. The walls are shaking. You guys are dodging falling bits of ice. I've got some bad news for you. That crack in the ceiling is trying to force its way opening. It looks like it's struggling. It's trying to force its way opening. Drake, you didn't heal it completely, but you do get an experience point.
Okay.
Everybody, what's your move?
Drake, can you do it again? Can we help?
Yes, he says. But I'm going to need you immobile and connected to me.
It will be done.
You can feel this wound like slowly tearing open.
Hot.
Yes. Finally, and just put his arms out, like frustratingly.
All right, so you all link arms. Drake, you've got one hand to work with. I'm not going to penalize you for that. Everybody's touching. Now, I think we call this a help roll for Hallfrid, unless you have something. Do you have like sending or transfer? You could literally send magic energy into Drake.
Well, I was thinking
you've got a +1 that you've been holding on to. Now might be the moment to call upon it.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if this is the time where we kick in the blessing magic. We talked about it in email as far as like bumping up another. This one isn't schools, but the blessing of the bear mothers. Instead of protection, that this then transfers into assisting protecting the target against evil misfortune. Well, I don't know if that's really. Yeah, I don't know if that's really.
You got ways of the word, and what was your other one?
The other one was protecting.
Oh yeah.
But I was thinking about blessing, right?
Well, this is trying a skill that you don't have, right? So you'd get your ways to the word at a -1 because you're outside your specialty.
Okay, all right, we'll do that.
You want to try it? Okay, so you do that. You've got a -1.
6
your
total.
adjusted total is
6.
That's going to give one experience point for you. The bear goddess wants you to do this. She's in fact been guiding you here subtly the whole time. You feel the energy channeled from her into you, and you pass it down the line to Hot. Hot, are you going to use that +1 right now? Call upon your deity?
Yeah, so I'm gonna do, let's see. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's Hot. I think Hot might be in a similar boat. He's trying to more so bolster Drake than anything, because Drake seems to feel like he knows what he's doing. Well, so he's more so trying to send his his energies, his like use himself as like a divining rod into Drake,
Right.
almost.
Okay, and so you're another magical arts user, is that right? What arts do you have?
Yes.
I don't have your sheet.
I have divination and enhancing.
Enhancing.
Oh, enhancing. Yeah. All right, go ahead and make a roll. You're not using the +1, so just roll as high as you can. Let me know what you get.
All right. That is 6 + 2, 8.
Nice.
Yeah, you were there. That's another +1. Now it's a +2 for Drake. Drake, you cast this spell, and you beat 8 last time, and it was enough to sort of mostly heal it. You want to take care of this fucker for good, you're going to have to beat a 9. But you got a +2 in magical power coming from your buddies right now.
Okay.
So it's a +5 total.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Yep.
Yeah. Make it happen, Drake.
That's an 11 total.
Off the chart.
Drake slams his hands together. The
That's
void
like
seals
ungodly.
shut. The blue light. There's like a shrieking psychic
Ooh,
silent
Can I
sound.
describe how it happens first?
I want you to, yes.
Okay.
I was assuming you were doing the hand slap again.
Actually, we're gonna do it a little differently this time. So with their help, what's gonna happen is they're gonna have one arm actually each on my shoulder.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna do the same thing with my arms, doing the shapes and stuff like that. But then when it comes to the clasping, I'm using both of my hands. They're using their other hands, and we're kind of shutting it together as a.
And you
as a group.
feel the power from their hands coming into yours and through as you
Yes.
make that final roll. Slap everybody's hands together. The wound in the ceiling slams shut. You don't see a crack. The blue light fades. You feel that psychic scream again, but you hear it trailing off into the distance, above you, off into space. And everything has stopped trembling. Gentlemen, I think you've done it. That's much bigger than one foe. 5 experience points each. End of session.
Nice.
Because getting out of here is just a matter of retracing your steps back.
Hallfrid yells and he just like slaps Drake on the shoulder and like staggers him a bit. He goes, "You've done it!"
And one other XP for Drake for casting the spell itself.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, and Hothrafn will actually like grasp Drake on the shoulder and be like, "I certainly am glad that they did not kill you when we raided your village. I knew that the gods had something in plan for you."
Now, as you guys are working your way back, you could probably hang out and party with the Grig for a little bit. And then you work your way back up to the village of Burblenook, where you find that there's nobody left alive. The village is actually a complete fucking ghost town. They've all been long ago killed. So that's the end of the village of Burblenook. By the way, if you feel like raiding the town, the apothecary, the inn, the market, all of these goods and potions and weapons and food, they're all sitting there for the taking.
Well, we're gonna need to stock up for
later. You guys can fucking stock up. I will, if you want it. If you want to raid the apothecary shop, I'll make a list later because I actually do have it on the other machine.
I think maybe
all
this
the
is our new
potions-
base of operations.
Yeah.
This is our town now.
That's cool.
I want to be known for
cool.
great deeds. What's a better thing than having our own town at the edge of the wilderness after we've just defeated the
Thorpe.
So you're going to need a base of operations because you still haven't found PQ Bloterhofen.
Right.
But you have come to one realization while talking. You know, it took hours to get back to the surface again. And you know that you didn't kill the thing. You just closed the gateway.
Yeah.
It might come back one day.
We'll be ready?
question mark.
Love it. Very well done, you guys. Thank you so much. That was fucking
awesome.
cool.
That was fun.
Very cool.
Technical
Kurt for the
difficulties
win.
and everything.
Luckily.
Yeah, I was sort of flummoxed as far as what we were gonna do. I think you friggin' nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny too, again, like we talked about before. I'm like, some of these I just stopped, like, I don't know what to do. So I'm like, okay, I gotta get creative here, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and as soon as you said
awesome.
you said heal, and I want to heal the void or the rift. And I don't know if you said it or I said it, the word wound was said. And I'm like, yeah, and that makes sense. That's what this rift is. It is a wound in reality. That's how it got through.
Yeah.
Perfect fucking sense. And again, it's like in a, we should be in post show now. This is post show dialogue. But one of the things that I think is really cool about playing narrative Magic, doing this in a narrative way, is that it allows Drake to go, well, you know what? This is kind of like healing. And for me to go, yeah, actually, that makes sense narratively. Instead of going, well, no, the rules say it's only about returning hit points to fellow party members, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the whole thing went really smooth.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
but you're also really good at this too. So I don't know, like if
you guys were
if I
on
was
fire,
running
though.
it.
I think there's only one failed roll the whole night. I mean, a lot of the stuff you did was pretty easy, like beat a 4. But by the time we got to the end, you know, it's beat a 6, beat an 8, and you're still pulling it off. Because if you fail on a magic roll, it can fuck you up.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Yeah, I don't think anybody failed a magic roll, right?
No.
No.
I have not yet, even this session or last session. I have not. Oh, wait, did I last session? Yeah, I did. Last session, Hallfrid failed one, and it stunned him for 1 round. It was a very small failure. So we really haven't. Yeah, we haven't really got to see a magical failure be dramatic.
Yeah.
But we did have one.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, you feel like it works? Everything's smooth?
You know what? I think I said last time, it's just basically thinking about Magic the same way that we've already been thinking about skills. So it comes down to setting a DL that makes sense. You know, and try not to get too many. We had a lot of like pluses and minuses going up and down a lot more than usual when we play, but it's manageable, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's certainly worth the creative freedom that it gives you when you pull off a spell like Drake's final spell. You know, the fact that you're thinking of this in a narrative way gives you so much more freedom. It's, you know, it's just like I say with skills. I even have a whole page called creative actions to say, just because the skill is called this doesn't mean that's the only thing you can do with it. Try to think outside the box. And now, what's more outside the box than Magic, man? It really should be outside the box.
Yeah.
I love it.
And one of the things I actually really enjoyed about when we were talking about the Magic that we were doing, I liked when you stopped, Todd, and you were like, what does this look like? Because when you play other fantasy / other Magic games, a lot of times no one's asking that question. It's always like, I shoot a fireball. Okay, you shoot a fireball, you kill the thing, whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of like I have a gun that shoots fireballs, so I don't really need it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's important because I'm trying to, and I'm not really a visual person, but I think of when we're playing, I do think of it like a TV show or like a movie, and I do want to see what it looks like. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that plays to my creativity because I love being creative. So when you ask me those questions, I'm like, ooh, this sounds fun, that kind of thing where, otherwise I'd be like, okay, this is cool, but like it could even be more frustrating for like how Drake's character was kind of going at first, because it was kind of like, I don't really know what to do here, it's like, okay, it's the people, Hallfrid and Hot are kind of their own clan, and I just kind of came along, and it's like, okay, I could be kind of
nobody likes
frustrated.
that feeling. It's like
Yeah.
being the cleric in a D&D party. You're just kind of
Yeah.
waiting for people to need you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's how this character could be, really. I mean, he's got the life and death thing, but it's like it could have been a thing where it just been like waiting for my moment, waiting for somebody to get hurt so I can heal you, or whatever, that kind of thing, or waiting for somebody to almost die so I can bring them back to, or bring to die so I can bring them back to life.
What's really cool about it, and this was not planned at all. I didn't think that Drake would be the one who did the big thing. I kind of expected it would be Hot with his +1, and he would call in his favor from his god, and something I don't know, more combat like would happen. But it so fits that it was Drake, because it was the Bloderabin clan and their history and their whole story that even got you here in the first place. And then for Drake to be the one who kind of like distrusts it and has nihilistic attitude about everything, and then he ends up being the hero at the end. That's a fucking great twist right there.
Yeah, and I feel like even more so it would have been like, he actually becomes more a part of that, of the Hot and Hallfrid's clan than he, even though he's got the background, like there's not enough of the Bloodravin left, so like he would still be their brethren, but he would feel like he's more part of this adopted family. So
I absolutely agree. You've totally proved yourself now, and it's like you were worried that you were Sam Gamgee, but no, you're actually Frodo. These guys were Sam. That's cool.
Definitely dig it. It was good. I'm glad, because it allows me to reconsider and rethink about the magic for Cthulhu, and it puts it in a different perspective. I think it's going to be more easily manageable for me to go back and retackle that.
Yeah, because you have the I don't know, I'm trying to think of the word, like you have more purchase now to, like, it doesn't have to be straight like this is the deal, blah blah blah. It's like you can make it more into a narrative thing, which Cthulhu and the Cthulhu thing like lends itself more to, is the story-based stuff and the descriptive part of your magic and the spells and how they work. It's
kind of an open question. Like I know that in Call of Cthulhu, it's not spells so much; it's rituals, and there is a core rule for rituals where you don't have to really be a magician; you just have to do it right. And to me, the Call of Cthulhu magic felt more like that. Like anyone could do it if they said the right words and cut their finger at the right moment, or So I think
there's definitely a heavy element.
Yeah. So I think it's still up in the air that you have the in Cthulhu, you want to keep the ritual magic for sure, but maybe now you can add more free form magic to like certain people or certain. I think maybe more powerful than ritual users, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't use a lot of magic when we play Cthulhu stuff, so I'm not really sure how it works, but like the Grand Grimoire of Cthulhu magic is like 600 pages of spells and rituals. Like, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, you need to have some examples so people can see how to break it. Right.
Yeah. More often a Cthulhu ritual is like a tactical beat. It's like built to solve this tactical problem.
Yeah, I mean, we had an episode with Oscar that the main thrust for the thing to resolve this whole situation was a ritual. So like we had to, like, the guy did the main thing, the NPC, but like we had to chant. So like periodically we had to make a roll for this, we had to make a roll for that, or is your stamina up, is your this, you sang the right words, and then it would, this action would happen to help to resolve the situation. So like there is a heavy element of that, but I think guys like Wilbert Whately and things like that, like they're more wizards who I think have more like, yes, they use rituals, but I feel like they are able to tap more into that.
Yeah, I think that's a great
element.
example. Yeah, in Wilbur Wheatley's work is like there's your cultists and they know rituals, but then there's the one dude who's like the head cultist and he actually knows spells. He's like actually magic. So I think that both.
Yep. So we'll see when that happens.
To be continued.
Yeah, for sure. Cool.
Well, shit, we made it through a one shot in 2 shots.
Yay.
That's typical. That's pretty much our standard.
Yep.
Are we in post show now? We just didn't announce it.
We kind of slid right into it, I guess. I mean, is that it? I think Jesse was getting ready to bounce, so we want to wrap things up there. Are we good? Did we beat this one to death?
I think we did.
I'm very happy. I thought that was great, and even with like, how often I start a game going, I have no idea what's going to happen, right? And this game, I actually wrote down a few ideas, and I had your PC sheets ready, and then my computer crashes in the middle of it all. So, oh well, I guess we're winging it.
Yeah.
But it works, man. It works.
And I wouldn't mind if we came back to these characters at some point, because I have a few other ideas that I wanted to do with Hothrafn that I wasn't able to pull off. So
yeah, and a +1 that you never used.
I still have the blessing of Beal.
Nice.
Nice. Cool. All right. Well, we'll wrap this up then. So I want to thank everybody for checking it out. We still currently at this time have coffee for sale. Neil is actually going to be wrapping up the coffee business. So if you're catching this in real time, order now. I am unsure how much longer that's going to be for sale. I did not get an answer. I just got some in recently. It kind of makes me sad because I know this is limited now and I have been unable to find a good replacement. So order and then hate us later because you're going to love it and then not be able to get it. But if you do order, go to tinyurl.com/legendary brew, or you can use the link in the show notes. You get, if you use code legends10, you get 10% off your order, and shipping is always free or until coffee's gone. And then there's not any shipping anymore. You get it. It's fine. We have a Patreon up if you would like to support us that way. I would prefer if you enjoy the games that we run here. Todd runs a lot of games. Support Todd instead. We will record First Bite probably anyway. But ratings and reviews on iTunes or whatever your podcatcher of choice is, super helpful. Bumps us up in the algorithms. Download early, download often. I don't know if that's a thing. Anyway, thanks for checking it out. We'll catch you next time.
Peace.
Bye.